Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Well, good evening and welcome to another episode of Black Authors Matter TV. It's December 12th and welcome to the show. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, along with my co-host,
Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Good evening, everyone.
And we're excited again. You know, it's Christmas time and, well, holiday season in general. And I love this time of year. I know Rhonda says she does too.
I usually do. This is a busy season. I haven't even put up a Christmas tree yet.
Oh, see, I put mine up before Thanksgiving so I can be ahead of the game.
I usually try to put mine up at least the day after Thanksgiving, but there's so much going on. I'm moving again. I'm still in the same area, but I'm just moving again. So it's a busy month for me. So I can't do it.
I'll keep you in my prayers.
Thank you.
So we're going to show a brief video about the show for those who may not have seen the show before. It's just a 90-second video, and then we're going to get right into the show with our first guest.
Since the Black Authors Matter TV live stream show and podcast launched in July 2020, it's been regarded as the platform of record for African American literature. Co-hosted by literary influencers Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson, the show averages 3,000 viewers and listeners every week. Every Tuesday, we interview a variety of movers and shakers in the literary world, including celebrities and media commentators, NAACP Image Award nominees and winners, historians, agents and marketing professionals, publishers, bookstore owners from coast to coast, book club facilitators, online book groups and book chats, book event coordinators, literary nonprofit organizations and projects, and in some cases, Black Authors Matter TV has conducted one of the last interviews prior to a literary influencer's transition. In fact, since the show's inception 3 years ago, Black Authors Matter TV has interviewed more than 500 guests, and the list continues to grow. Engaging, relatable, timely, and most of all, committed to excellence. Black Authors Matter TV continues to bring viewers the latest book industry news and new releases, and will continue to do so for years to come.
So for those who may be new to the show, that gives you an encapsulation of what the show's about, what we've been doing for the last 3.5 years as we approach our 600th guest, which we will have sometime. I'm guesstimating February. We'll cross the 600 mark, and it's an amazing accomplishment. So we are going to give away one book tonight after this first interview or the second interview. And for those who would like to win the book, we do a trivia question, and then the first person to answer gets the book, and it's mailed to them shortly after the show. So our first guest is no stranger to the literary or the just the book industry in general. She has been for decades a mover and a shaker in the literary world, and she is the founder and the brainchild behind the African American Literary Children's Book Fair in Philadelphia every year. That is an amazing event. So we wanted to welcome Vanesse Lloyd-Sgambati to the show, and I want to make sure I do her camera. I'm trying to, so she can come on camera. There she is. Because we tested it out earlier to make sure she was on. So Vanesse, she and I have talked. She's one of those people I've been talking to for years and years and years and never met, not even virtually. So this is my first time meeting her virtually, but she is no stranger to me or to just the literary world. So Vanesse, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Well, thank you for having me, Gwen. And we have only spoken on the phone and had some insightful conversations, but you're a legend in the industry because what you've been producing in Houston is by far one of the best. Well, I'm going to say mine's is the best. Let's put it this way. Mine's is the best in the Northeast and yours is the best in the Southwest. You know,
that's a good compromise.
Okay, we'll take that.
Compromise.
But I've never been to your event. I have always wanted to come. And one of these years, in the next 3 years, I am going to come. So
well, we're hoping we'll be waiting for you because one of the things that I created 32 years ago was an event that was national, and it was designed to bring people from around the world to see the best and the brightest from the African American literary community. You know, when I started this journey, I used to hear Black people don't buy hardcover books for their children, or Black people don't read to their children. And I was like, this is absurd. This is not founded on anything that fits into my world and the world that I live in. And I dispel that notion over and over again. And people come to the book fair and they walk out and they're scratching their head because people are walking alongside of them with armloads of books that they purchased, not been given books free, but they've actually purchased. So I'm happy to continue this journey, 32 years, and still going strong.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. We both said it together because our event we're celebrating year 17 next year. And that, I know what it takes to keep an event going year after year after year. And 30, we won't get, I'm going to say this out right now. We won't get to 30 something because I'm not taking it that far, but kudos to you.
Then the organization continues.
The organization can keep it going. You get somebody else to do it.
You just get somebody else.
I tell people no one else would work for free like this.
You just never know. But I will say I'm the baby of the bunch because my event is only 8 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a lot. And then as you get older, it starts to take a toll, just
it does. It's tiring. People don't realize how much you have to put into an event.
It's exhausting. And see, our event is 2.5 days. So that's a lot of time. But I think Vanesse, your event is a Saturday and it's like Saturday afternoon. Well, it's all day on the Saturday because you have some preliminary activities before the actual book fair starts. But what gave you the idea to start this event?
Well, I wear many hats in the world of publishing, and my journey to host a mega children's event started with an event out of, let's say there was a need. There was a lot of singing and dancing going on during Black History Month here in Philadelphia, but I noticed there was nothing dedicated to children's books. And I had formerly worked at a television station, and the public affairs person at a major department store asked me if I could produce a Black History event in this. It's an iconic department store. It was called Wanamaker's and had 9 floors. Mm-hmm. And the idea of producing a Black event in a place like that was like, I got this. We're going to make it happen. And I made a call to Marie Brown, who's a literary agent, who's also from Philadelphia. I said, I need some authors. She said, no problem. She invited Tom Fillings, Jacqueline Woodson, Tanya Bolden, Evie Lewis, and Bessie Nichols, who at that time was about 84 years old.
Wow.
And it was a cold, frosty morning. And I thought, well, 50 people will show up. Well, 250 people showed up. And they all said the same thing as they were walking out the door, buying armfuls of books. When are you going to do this again? And that was the beginning of the African American Children's Book Fair. And of those authors and the illustrator, the two illustrators, E.B. Lewis, Tanya Bolden, and Jacqueline Woodson are still being published 32 years later. Bessie Nichols, obviously at 80 years old, she's since going on. And Tom Fillings also passed away about, I think, a decade ago. But they all produce exceptional books. And all of their books that they published, their first books, are still in print. And so I knew that it was important to continue this legacy, this journey of presenting African American authors. One of the things that we do that's exceptional is that we have corporate partners who participate in the event, but our corporate partners, if they want to be there, they've got to also give away something of literary value. So they'll buy maybe 50, 100 copies of a particular title of one of our guest presenters. And in addition to all their little things they're giving away at their booth, they'll also give those books to educators. So an educator can walk out of this event with 6 to 7 hardcover books of the guest authors and illustrators. And we have promotional giveaways. And it's just a fun afternoon. When you said 2 days, I was breaking out in a cold sweat over here because that's a lot of time.
It's a lot. 2.5. So it starts on the Thursday night. It's all day Friday, all day Saturday.
But
and
you have a lot of panels, correct?
I have a lot of
There are panels, author discussions.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. But we have over 100 authors that come as exhibitors and sell their books. So we have that.
We have one vendor. Many of you who work in the book business may know Nati for Africa World Book. And I partner with him to produce this event. The reason why we don't have outside vendors is because I don't have the resources to vet everybody who's participating in the event. I mean, someday we may get there, but you know yourself that when you have outside people coming in to vend, their expectations. Their expectations that they're going to sell, they're going to make money. And we sell a lot of books. We probably sell more books in 4 hours than any other African-American retailer in the country because we get all the school teachers, the daycare centers, and they have baby coaches filled with books. But it's because it's the only game in town from the perspective is that we've got the best and the brightest, and it's held once a year. Now, if we did that every week, who knows what the outcome would be. But it is important to note that in Philadelphia, when I started this journey, we had 12 Black bookstores in the city. 12 Black bookstores.
Wow.
And today we have 3 bookstores. Hakeem's is still in business. I believe they just celebrated their 50th anniversary. And there are 2 other Black bookstores. But there is Harriet's and Uncle Bobby's, but there is a hunger for children's books in the city. And kids, we have a campaign here, Preserve a Legacy, buy a book, because you can't talk about how much you love Black books and you love Black history and you haven't bought a book. You can't talk about books and you haven't bought a book. And it's important to remind people that you can continue the legacy. You can continue to have great Black books if you buy them.
Right.
And so many options out there. At the book fair in February, there will be debuting their books for the first time, 8 authors and illustrators from major publishers. And we have some of when I tell you, people who are on all the bestsellers lists, people who are on the best of lists, the New York Times, in fact, the New York Times Book Review listed 5 Black picture books. And of the 5, 4 of those books will be featured at the book fair. And it takes a lot of work, as you know, Gwen, because you have 100 people. That's no joke.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's not.
To produce. I applaud both of you for the work that you do, and also the sisterhood that we have in supporting each other. And just like you have me on this show today, obviously when your event comes up, I'll be publicizing that, possibly have you on my radio show to talk up the event, because people do know how to get on a plane to go
Yes,
to other
true.
cities. Okay, they do know how to do that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. We have people from we have people from normally 30 states that come.
Oh, I can imagine, because there is a hunger for well-organized events. See, people keep coming back to these events because people pop up and do an event and they wonder why the people didn't show up. You got to be organized. You have to have everything that's tight. You know, from the time you walk in the door to the time you walk out that door, it has to be organized. Nothing can be messy.
Right. I agree with you on that. But also a lot of people will try to do events. They'll come to, I'm sure they'll come to your event too, but they'll come to our event, think that, okay, I can do better, or I can do this or whatever. And they'll try it once or maybe twice, but that's it, because it is a lot of work. And it takes a lot of promotion, like you were saying. You have to have just a group. You have to have your sort of your arms and your legs like an octopus in some different areas where you're reaching people in the industry at all levels. And so, for example, on this show, I don't know if you saw the video that we played, but we have people on the show that aren't like you. And I don't know if you're an author or not, but we have authors, but we also have book event coordinators. We have bookstore owners. We have book club facilitators. We have literary agents. We have publishers. So we have a variety of people. In fact, we've had Harriet's Bookshop, the young lady that owns that, and Hakeem's bookstore. That's the one that just got a marker or some kind of.
They're
Yeah,
the oldest. Marcus Books is the oldest. Actually, there's a bookstore. I saw something on Troy from AALBC, Troy Johnson, that there was a bookstore that was somewhere in Mississippi. That was, but like many bookstores, it was a bookstore and something else was going on besides it being an independent freestanding bookstore. But Marcus Books was one of the first, and Blanche out in Oakland. They used to have a store in San Francisco. But I wanted to say about the promotion. I worked in TV. I was a fashion journalist in Italy. I worked in television, the NBC and the CBS affiliate here in Philadelphia. I've even worked on the Oprah Winfrey Show briefly. But I come from a journalism background, and I also have a radio segment here in Philadelphia. So I have relationships with people. At our event, we have our media partner is the local NBC affiliate. We have 4 broadcasting on site, 4 radio stations. That draws people in. PSAs. We have interviews. And I don't just do interviews in the Philadelphia area. I have relationships with people in Chicago, all down the Eastern Coast in Atlanta. So we're on the radio. The authors and illustrators come because I'm also giving them something they can't get other place, and that's the media. And one of the things that I love about the event is they say to me all the time, for all the authors and illustrators, it's like a family affair, a family gathering for them to get together in Black History Month to see each other, because outside of industry events, it's rare to get both an author and illustrator in the same space. And also people, last year I had all the Coretta Scott King winners that had won for writing. The woman who won the Newbery, Mina Lupin Dawson, I told her in October, you're going to win a big award. I didn't know she was going to win the Newbery. I knew she was going to win the Coretta Scott King. And they embrace the event because they want to, a lot of times they don't go to events where there are substantial a Black audience. So they welcome attending these types of events. And it does help the location, because the highest concentration of Black children's authors is in Charlotte and North Carolina. The Carolinas, both South and North Carolina. It used to be New York. So they're a hop, skip, and a jump to get up to Philly. There's a
Right.
direct rate that comes into the city, because, as you know, publishers don't pay for these people to go to these events, at least not the Black ones. Okay.
Right. Right. That's true. And I think we had a conversation about that a few years back, about that, how the gatekeepers really don't they don't want well, they won't even consider in a lot of cases a Black event for the top authors. And to get them at your event, you have to go around the gatekeepers and contact them directly.
Absolutely. You have to contact people directly, but they have expectations too. They expect sales. And if you go to the other side, and they tell me this all the time, they'll go to an event and they have people that's walking by and say, hey, that's really nice, but they don't buy books. Turn are selling the books. Not only are we selling the books, we're promoting them outside of the event, saying, because when you send out a flyer or you send out a blast social media, because your event is well known, you're giving them publicity even if people don't come, because they see that information. So that's added value to do these events, because the social media, traditional media, and word of mouth is what's going to sell those books.
Yes, that's the truth. Word of mouth sells books. Now we have about 8 minutes left, and I wanted to, one thing that really impressed me, well, there were several things that really impressed me about what you sent in, but the number of countries you've been to, I was just blown away by your world travels. You're really a globetrotter.
I'm more than a globetrotter. I'm like a hustling. I just came back from a month in Europe, and I went to the Black British book fair that was held in London, and I went to a couple other places in England, because there's a demand for Black children's books. And with all the crazy things happening in this country, where people are talking about they don't want to produce certain types of books, I'm looking for other venues and avenues for our books. And I met some interesting people, I met some insightful people, and I saw a lot of opportunities for Black children's authors to sell their books in bookstores, in especially in England. In France, they have a lot of Black communities, and a few authors have had their books translated into French. Kelly Starling Lyons had her book translated into France, and I connected her with a friend of mine, and she connected her with, there's a library in Paris, and they're thinking about doing a whole sabbatical for her next year. So I'm looking for always opportunities for Black children's book, but I do travel, and I travel heavy. When I say heavy, I had
it looks like 50 countries. I didn't count them, but at least 50.
Hey, I lived in Italy for 12 years, and I worked as a fashion journalist. So I know how to get on a plane and go hop, hop, hop. But I don't travel light. I have like 250-pound suitcases and 3 carry-ons. So nobody in their right mind would get on a plane unless they wanted to take one of my bags and count it as their own. But I love traveling. I love meeting people. I speak fluent Italian and a little French. So it's always a great opportunity to engage and meet people and tell our stories, because it's important for people to know that what you see on TV is not the end of our lives and experiences as African Americans in this country.
It definitely is not.
Absolutely.
It's very it's just so narrow. It's very narrowly focused. And that's why I've said on the show, I don't want to see any more shows where Black people are drug dealers. That's not all we can do. I mean, and we're not the biggest purveyors in the drug business.
Well, the unfortunate thing is that's what the people like to see, the negative. When think about it, last year or earlier this year, there was a movie that came out about a Black violinist, barely got any publicity. Nobody's talking about it, but yet that was something positive. But then when we start to talk about the gangster movies or the movies that supposedly put us in a bad light, those are the ones that are getting all of the publicity. Right now, people are talking about Black Kate, but people are talking about how much they didn't like the story. You know, they're not talking about it in a positive way. So we can complain about there not being enough positive images of us, but until we as a people start to actually promote and support the positive, we're going to get what we get. And
well, that's why the work you do and the work Gwen is so
Mhm.
important, because the children's books that are out, especially the people who are going to be at my book fair, this is the best season of books that I have ever seen. But I just wanted to add that the book fair is just one of the activities of the nonprofit I founded 32 years ago called the African American Children's Book Project. And we do a lot of advocacy work. We do workshops, we do book signings, we do in-school virtual children's events, and we're banging the drum constantly to remind people how being able to read is going to determine how well you, especially reading outside your normal coursework, will enable those children to live, their quality of life will improve. And in Philadelphia, when we have a lot of problems with young kids committing violent crimes, and most of those kids weren't born to commit crimes, but they probably fell off the grid. They got in school, maybe they couldn't read on grade level, and they just sort of got out there. And so it's important to capture these kids, get them reading. And reading is anything that appeals to the child, because we focus in access, being able to get the books, and choice. Because what you like to read and what I like to read is different. So you got to find out what they really like to read. We've had great success. In fact, our book fair, adults who attended as children are now bringing their children, and they credit our program with keeping their kids to read. So it's been a pleasure and an honor to be on this show. I said to someone the other day, I said, I need to go to Houston again. Last time I was in Houston, Tavis Smalley is a former client of mine, and we did a State of the Black Union event in Houston, and I haven't been back since. And I'm looking forward to your event is in the spring, and I'm looking forward to being able to get on a plane and go down there.
Well, our event is always in October.
Okay.
So we just had it.
You got to change it to the spring, because I go to Europe in October.
You do? Well, we can't change it. But
we go to London for Black History Month.
Are you for the whole month? Are you going for the whole month of October?
You know what? I probably will go later this year. Don't tell nobody, because I got security systems up in my house reminding them of that.
You're the one on the internet telling people you're going to be going.
Look, I live in, I put it this way. People say that I'm the queen of my block, and I promote that if I'm going away, everybody knows on the block, look out for my house, the security, the cops, and everybody else. But the thing is, I think I'll go later this year, because I wanted to go Notre Dame. I have a lot of anchors in the journalism world, and I'm supposed to do some coverage for that. But I do encourage each and every one of you who, like the two of you, it's amazing that what you're doing, and it's important to continue it, because if we don't tell our stories, they aren't going to get told.
Absolutely. Or they'll be told incorrectly.
Or they'll be told incorrectly, or they tell the same old story over and over again.
Over and over and
There's
over.
There's nothing wrong with telling. For example, Equa Holmes has a new book coming out about Coretta Scott King. That book is bad. I just got this book today called, this is the Blad. It's called Miles of Style, and it's about Eunice Johnson and her fashion fair journey. And I knew Miss Johnson. She used to come to Europe, and they would roll out the carpet for her. She was the queen. Before there was the Queen Bee, there was Eunice Johnson with her Ebony Fashion Fair. And these are things our kids need to know. And there's another one about the gentleman who was a freedman, but he helped and cultivated what we know as ice cream today. He was, you know the story about Dolly Madison creating ice cream. He taught Dolly Madison how to make that ice cream, and he's from Philadelphia. And so we're capturing all these stories about Black Americans and what they have brought to this country. We're celebrating our 250th anniversary in this country in 2026. So I'm gathering all these books and stories and putting them at the feet of these decision makers and say, you need to promote this. You need to send these authors on tour so people know our stories.
This is exactly what we need. Well, we did put your link to the African American Children's Book Project in the chat.
And what are the dates, real quick?
The date is Saturday, February the 3rd. And I'm also preparing a list, the best books of 2023. I'm going to be updating the website, and I will make the announcement of who's going to be. We got 35 people. I'm going to officially make the announcement on January the 1st. And, come on out. It's a free event. We got posters, bookmarkers, promotional giveaways. If you're a teacher, you can get a free book. And here's the other thing. The corporate NBC, the affiliate here in Philadelphia, gives away 500 brand new books of the guest participants at the door when the kids come in. So it's a lot of stuff that's happening at the book fair. And we have other exhibitors. We have someone who's doing a science exhibit. Just a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. I can handle 3 hours. Now, 5 hours, who knows what Vanesse would be doing by now.
Well, thank you so much for everything that you do. I'm only right down the street from you in the DC area, so I'm gonna have to take the train up and come see you.
Okay, definitely. When is your event?
My event is actually at the end of February. It's going to be February 22nd through the 24th. It's the Black History Month Literary Weekend.
And it's in
it's going to be in Maryland.
Okay, I've heard about that event. Well, let's connect. Definitely let's connect, because I might be able to make some recommendations of some of the authors and illustrators that are participating in my event, who might be interested in being a part, if you don't have your list already completed.
I do have my list done, but let's talk. We'll stay in touch after this call.
Okay. And you know what? We've officially started an association of Black producers of literary events. You know, we got a triangle go there. We've officially we the queen bees in there. We literary divas. Okay. So they're gonna say the thing, we're official. I put a label on it, and so people know that there's a synergy. We all have a synergy to make these things happen, but even more so to tell the stories of Black people, as you said, in the correct way.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And also, if people want to reach us, you can go to the African American Children's Book Project.org, or you can call me at 215-878-BOOK. And I also have an online bookshop store. If you go to the website, you can click on that. We're updating that of all the new books that are coming out, to see, to be able to purchase them during the holidays or just in general.
Wonderful.
Okay. All right. Well, Vanesse, we have our next guest right on time. And so we appreciate you very much for being on the show. I'm glad to finally meet you, and much success. I'm going to make it to your event at one of these years coming up very soon.
Well, I'm going to be down in Houston sooner than you think.
Okay. All right.
Well, take care.
Okay.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Well, that was Vanesse, and I've been talking to her for years and never even seen her face, other than a photograph. Yeah. So, when you make connections in this business, as long as you stay in it, and the people who continue, you get to know them all. Eventually you get to know everybody. If you stick around, you get to know everybody. And speaking of sticking around, we have our next guest, Joylynn Ross, and she is no stranger to the show. It's been a while since she's been on, and she has her Black Authors Matter t-shirt on. So welcome back. to the show, Joylynn. And tonight she's in a whole new capacity. I don't know if this is a trend, but I hope it is. It's very exciting. Joylynn has a new imprint, and I think it's kind of similar to what Entice is doing with Black Odyssey Media. But I say the more the merrier, because distribution is the key to it all. And just welcome back to the show so you can tell us about this major announcement you have and what we can look forward to for next year and the coming years.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. This is my first, last, and only live interview of 2023. I know folks can't believe it because I love talking, but not just talking about any old thing, talking to if add benefit, add value for creatives out there and even readers. So again, thank you so much for having me back on the show again. I absolutely could not say no. So yes, we have P2 Press. P2 Press, that is our traditional publishing imprint of Path to Publishing. As some of you might know, Path to Publishing, we're an author assistance literary service provider. We also branched off into business of serving small business owners and small businesses. So this P2P Press traditional publishing imprint is just another amazing branch of the beautiful tree we're growing over here, going on our 24th year. We'll be 24 years in business in 2024. So it's exciting. We launched our first title, The Price We Pay by Nikki T. Anthony. I know a lot of people are seeing all of these amazing things in the news feed, in our newsletter, because I'm just so very proud of this project. Although our line just launched, this has been in the making, actually working on her book for about 4 to 5 years. She started off as an editing client, and we were going to start a hybrid publishing imprint. But after working with her title and getting together with our team, we said, hey, we got to change this model. We want to be all in with this project. So a traditional imprint was something we had no intentions of starting, but we saw that this book was a diamond in the rough, and we wanted, we wanted not just our piece of the pie, but we knew we were going to put a lot into this project. And with putting so much into this project, we knew we had to have a larger stake. So we renegotiated with the author, who is simply amazing. And that's really what I want to talk about. Not me, not Path to Publishing, not P2P Press, not even the author, not even the book, but how other authors out there, how authors turn publishers, helping other people share their work, can really position their book for success by having that marketing plan. Not a wish list, okay? Not the wish list. When people say, let's see your marketing plan because you want to get a deal, or you want them to choose your book of the month, or you want to get an audio book deal. So you put together this marketing plan that's so beautiful, but ain't going to happen unless God writes the check. No, not one of those marketing plans. A real marketing plan that you can execute either with dollars, with time that you have on your team, getting earned media, all sorts of things. So that's what I'd really like to go over. I know, Gwen, you probably, and Rhonda, you probably have some questions you want to ask me, some preliminary questions. I like to say, Google me, the clock's ticking. I want to make this about the audience.
Joylynn, you know we can't plan an interview when you come on the show. We just go with the flow. Even if we did have questions planned, you
but
go throw
I do have some
questions.
I have some questions that I know the audience will want to know.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
but what I will do is I will hold my questions for maybe 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then ask them after you get a chance to tell us what you believe and know that we need to know.
Okay, so I brought my bag of tricks.
I
got my bag of tricks.
Okay.
I have our marketing plan that we actually used for the price we pay. And it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. This is what we've been doing. A lot of people want to sell a million copies. They have this number of books they want to reach, They want to be like Chicken Soup for the Soul. But a lot of times they don't know that in order for Chicken Soup for the Soul to achieve the success it achieved, there were 2 co-authors. And those 2 co-authors did 5 things a day for 2 years to market and promote their book before they ever received the success that they started receiving by making the New York Times list. 5 things a day for 2 years straight. Are you willing to put in that time? What are your dreams, vision, and goals for your book, whether you're the publisher, whether you're the author, and are you willing to put in the time? Are you willing to do the work? Do you have a plan? Do you have a plan that can be executed? And having a plan is just the first step. Executing the plan. 9 times out of 10, everything on your plan, this is like a to-do list, but everything on your to-do list has a to-do list, if that makes sense. Everything on your checklist has a to-do list. So I just want to be transparent. Like you said, Gwen, the more the merrier. If you are an author, if you have your own publishing company, if you want to start your own publishing company, here's the tea. Drink it up. It's good stuff. You are not copying. There is enough room out here for all of us. Take notes, watch the replay, do the work. So we're going back to July and August of 2023, and our author, this is a partnership. We're a traditional publisher, but we are partners. It is not our job to sell the author's book. It is our job as a publisher to position the book and the author for success. It is our job as the publisher to make sure the books, the titles is available broadly, that we have real distribution, not retail distribution. Retail distribution is real distribution, but it's retail distribution. And it usually stops with Amazon, Ingram, Barnes and Noble, maybe Draft to Digital, things like that. That's called retail distribution, okay? And what is real distribution? Not that retail distribution is amazing, because we use that too, but it is the Baker and Taylor. It is the Brodart. It is the different distributors, even that specializes with small publishers. Some will require you to have the 10 titles. But get started, start making these connections, know how to put your packages together to pitch your titles for wide distribution. And with distribution, exclusive distribution, when I say real distribution, I mean exclusive. I mean, you have a sales team. You are partnering with someone who's going to take your names in the rooms when they are pitching titles, when they are pitching to Walmart, when they are pitching to Barnes and Noble, when they are pitching to Books A Million. So that's the difference when I say real distribution, not that retail distribution isn't an important element, because we all know Amazon is not called Amazon for nothing. When Amazon sneezes, everybody catches the flu. So that's just that. They're Amazon. So we partner with our author. Our author understood her assignment as an author. Our author understood she has job description. And this is a partnership. We have to go in and do this together. It doesn't matter who's getting a check, who's cutting a check, who's writing a check, receiving a check. Nobody works for anybody. You work with each other. So we are a team. And so what our author did is her team worked with us. She put together a team and they worked with us. One of the things she did is she did a promotions for July and August of 2023. She did a campaign via ASCOP. They did press coverage and materials overview, which included professionally written press releases. Please just stop paying people to write press releases and they just sitting in your folder. They're just sitting in your folder. If you're going to invest in press releases, and some people will say, oh, press releases are old. Nobody uses press releases not anymore. Not true. Don't just write it. Use it. Use the press release, okay? So professionally written press releases.
And Joy, if I may add about press releases don't just have to go to media.
Right. Exactly. But Rhonda, I'm sure you do what I do. You do a lot of what I do, and people want these amazing press releases, and they're so excited about it. And press releases are not evergreen. They are so time sensitive.
Yes.
If this sits on your computer more than a week, you wasted your money. You wasted your money on distributing that. So again, your professionally written press releases, distributed one mass press distribution per week to media for 4 weeks, pitched book review requests to 150 bloggers, influencers, and podcasters, pitched media coverage opportunities to FM, satellite, and syndicated radio and television outlets. So our author invested in working with Ascot with her own dollars from her advance. She did not go to the Coach store with her advance. She went to Ascot.
Hey, we can have fun with the money.
You can't. Look, I made the mistake when I got my first advance years ago. Don't talk to me. I've got on Coach. I got on all kinds of name brand, and I ain't built my own brand. How about that? I'm wearing everybody else's brand.
I didn't, and you don't know what's going on with you. You hear about people getting advances, but you don't hear about what happened to the money, and also. A lot of people don't realize you might not see a dime for 2 years, if then, after you get that thing.
Yeah, right, or ever. So
yeah, it takes a long time before you see some more money.
Yes.
So,
yes.
You have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, see, I wasn't smart with my advance. I went and bought other people's brands and wore it and marketed and promoted their brand with my advance money. But this author took her advance and invested into her own brand. Okay.
Now, I have a question based on what you've already said. I'm sure the audience will want to know as well. You said she contacted bloggers and reviewers and those. How did she obtain the information about who those people are, the influencers that she needed to contact?
So this is what's great. And this is why we specifically chose to work with her, because we didn't want to have to train and teach people what their job description. She attended our conference 2 years. We teach you all of that in our conference. Our conference curriculum, it has all of that. When people tell us, well, I'm a poet and I want to be able to write postcards or I want to be able to write greeting cards, we give them all the resources they need. We give them here, this isn't Hallmark's website. This isn't, the different websites. We give them the submissions. So with authors we tell them, okay, you're going to need to do a blog tour. You're going to have to do influencers. Oh, you want to do books to film? Oh, you need LeBron James information? Oh, you need Stephen Curry's. It's all in our curriculum. So she attended our conference. She had our curriculum. She has our curriculum. Anybody can get our curriculum. It's on our website, www.pathtopublishing.com/conference store. It's in the day 3. That particular is in day 2. But all the stuff that she did, she learned it and she implemented and she worked it. She worked it. So that's where she got all this information. Just going back to our curriculum. And again, it was great working with her because she wasn't new to this. We knew she was trained because we trained her, never knowing we would eventually give her a book deal. But that's just one of the reasons. That's another reason that sealed the deal. We knew she knew her job description as an author. We knew she owned the resources. So if we say you need to do a blog tour, where do I start? She didn't have to ask that question. She had our curriculum. She knew who to reach. She do sample pitch letters in our curriculum, contracts. We don't tell you, oh, you're going to need a contract. We give you a link to the sample contract. Some of them fill in the blanks with your own information. So she had all of this information from the resources, plus Ascot, who she hired as well. She did.
Now, by the way, I do want the audience to know, by the way, the author that Joylynn keeps referring to, Nikki Anthony, will be on the show tonight on the last segment. So you'll get to meet her and all the learn from her some tidbits about how her experience was. So I wanted to have you all on the same night, and I'm glad I was able to get that done.
Yes. So questions for her, she'll be on here to answer them. Media interviews, WLNS Channel 6, because we pitched the media as well. She got on WLNS Channel 6. We pitched the Hollywood Times. She did get her interview. Beyond the Pages, WGN Houston and Chicago. She got her interview. Jazzy 88.1 FM. She got her interview. The Dr. Denise Show. She got her interview. The Good News Fox Chicago. You will hear Chicago a lot because our author is Chicago based.
Right.
In working with Carl Weber for umpteen years, that's what he taught us when we were in the author row. Before I transitioned to the acquisitions editor row for his Christian fiction imprint. But as the author wrote, litter your town, litter your town. Everybody in your town should know who you are. Litter your town. So you'll hear Chicago over and over because she's following that advice. Litter your town. Even the libraries, like I'm here in the fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, but we have the Clark County libraries, we have the Henderson libraries, we have the different libraries. So I can go and teach or present something at the Green Valley Library or the Henderson Library, and it's not the Las Vegas Library, it's not the Clark County. So I can take the same workshop, because we train and teach our authors, don't go do book signings, don't go do speaking engagements, do events, do a workshop, do something. If you know how to do backflips, don't you go reading that book and that's all you do. Put on a show, make it an experience. And so that's what she already knew that. She did guest blogging posts. Some authors don't want to blog, that's fine. I don't particularly like to have an author's blog, but what I do like to do is hop on everybody else's blog. For one, they already have a platform. They already have followers. As long as I match up with their audience is my audience. We share a common fan base. I will go and I will do 10 podcasts, get in front of 10,000 different people, but then I will send my list, like Christmas break is coming up. Here's a podcast playlist. Here's a blog playlist. I ain't spent no time setting up no blog, setting up no podcast, none of that. But I can still send my following a playlist, and they can hear me. They can listen to my playlist of podcasts in their car that I'm just a guest on other people. So if you don't want to start your own, maximize other people's blogs. If you don't want to start your own, maximize other people's, but just make sure you're sending your following the playlist so they can read and see everything's going on, that you put it on your media. Okay. So she did a lot of guest posts. The Good Men Project, blacknews.com, Silicon Valley Daily, Motherhood Moment, Not Born Yesterday, Keep the Faith Magazine, Feisty News for Women, Spectacular News, The Chicago Crusader. And again, it's just not random. We're not casting poles into the water. We're determining where are the fish that we want to bite. And that's what we're casting our poles. We're determining who are we speaking to, because as a publisher, we're going to speak into the industry in more marketing spiels, while our author needs to speak in a manner that will connect to people, to an audience. And so she may have to use a worm while we're using a minnow. So you got to know where are the fish hanging out that you need to catch, and what type of bait do you need to use. You're going to be speaking these different languages. So in September, we did a campaign. The author did a campaign via Black PR Media, where they distributed the press release to 30,000 journalists during release week. Pitched media opportunities to 1,000 newspapers, magazines, TV stations, and news-related outlets. Search engine optimized the press release for Google, Yahoo, and Bing. 2 social media promotional posts to 800,000 combined Facebook and Twitter followers. Secure promotional release post on blacknews.com news site. She also invested in something called Sizzling Sassy Promotions. Again, the author This is the author. She's not sitting there saying, I got a traditional publishing deal. My publisher need to be marketing, promoting, and selling. Look,
And it doesn't work like that anymore.
It does not work like that. It does not work like that. We are partners. We are partnering in the success of this book. So these are things the author is doing. So she did pre-publication blog interview, Beyond the Pages television interview, WGN Houston, Beyond the Pages television interview for WGN Chicago, and she did a 30-second commercial. We did a promotional postcards. They were printed and dispersed in the Chicago area to local end of the summer events. $250 promotional posters were distributed to attendees of African Culture Fest in collaboration with the Underground Bookstore. 250 promotional posters were distributed to Printers Row Lit Fest, and the author hosted a traveling bus book launch event. Really, really cute, amazing idea. So she literally had a mobile book launch. You bought tickets for her party bus, and it included a copy of the book, and you kind of went on a journey, went on a tour, and talked about the book, but had fun on the party bus. So that was really unique, out of the box. I refuse to allow our authors to have readings and author signings. We don't do that. It doesn't even sound fun. Even if that's what it really is.
It's not fun, Joylynn. We started at the same time. We remember when we were sitting in those stores like this.
Right, exactly. So even though that is what they are, industry terms, it's a book reading, and it's an author signing, it's a book reading. Make it something different. Make it event. Make it an experience. Give it a name. Give it a title. Like I used to call mine the literary feast. And so it was a book event, but literary feast, what's that about? We would have entertainment. Just don't do a flyer talking about author appearance, author book signing, book reading. Like, no.
Yeah, we used to do a book brunch, and I think you came to it one time, Joy.
Yes.
I think you did. And we would have brunch, and then we charged, but one of the books, we would have multiple authors, and the book was included with what people paid. So we used to do that when we had the brick and mortar store. Now we only have a few minutes left, so I have some questions about your new imprint.
Yes.
And when are you going to be open for submissions? Okay, keep the questions in your head so you can. And do you have a goal for release the numbers of books you're going to be releasing next year?
Okay, so we have submissions are closed right now because we find, as a literary service provider, when people come to us like Nikki, when Nikki came to us, she just wanted us to edit her book, but we got to edit in that book, and we team meeting huddle, this book is fire. And she's been to our event, so she knows what she has to do to make this successful. We do tend to look at our tribe. We do tend to look at our community who has been following us, not who has spent money with us, not who has been a client. Even if you've only been in our private Facebook group, our newsletters, we know you've been learning, because what we do not want to do is spend time having to teach that ground zero author what it looks like, what their job description looks like, and what they have to do, because the minute their book comes out and they get their first royalty statement and they've only sold 10 books because they're waiting on us to sell them, they gonna blast us all over social media. We stealing from them. Somebody done went to the Bahamas with their royalty money. And
I know what you're saying.
We're funny about when we're going to open submissions and to whom. We have so many amazing projects coming across our desk. We really don't have to open up submissions. We literally just have to, at our Monday morning meeting say, wow, did you see that project so-and-so's working on? And they're thinking about self-publishing. What do you think about offering them a deal? So literally they come to us through our service pipeline. So we're honestly don't know when we'll open it up to the public, because right now our pathfinders are bringing so many amazing works through the pipeline, but that's our intention, to open up And our goal, we decided we will not put a number on how many we want to release, because we have goals for each book. And because we're not a major publishing where even though an author doesn't make their advance back, you got James Patterson over there making enough money for everybody, so they ain't mad. That little advance you didn't make back ain't bothering them none. They're still making money, and you're still making money off of your book. We want to reach every goal we have for our books. We have a plan, and we're literally laser focused on, we can't see anybody but Nikki right now, and this book winning, and this book winning. So no number.
Now I saw your thing in Times, was it Times Square? Or
yes.
where, okay. It was a billboard or one of those flashing screens or whatever they call it. How did that come about?
That's Nikki. So when Nikki comes on, Nikki did that. We didn't even do that.
Oh,
Nikki and her team did that. Nikki and her team, they did, like I said, I only got through 1.5. We're out of time. And I only got through 1.5 of my marketing plan. That's how hard you have to go. And that's why I need readers to see what we are doing as authors and publishers, so that you don't turn your nose. We got a hardback special edition. That book is $34.95. It's $34.95 for the hardback special edition. That is not a lot of money. Our audience is for that person who won't say, that's a lot of money. I don't have $35 for that book, but I paid my down payment for my $3,500 trip to Jamaica. Our audience is for the people who understand that knowledge is not power. Knowledge is not power until you use it.
Applied knowledge is power.
You have to apply it. You have to apply it. But
that was the unspoken word, that was the understood part of the knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Some things are kind of inferred or understood, but then they're misquoted because that part is left off. It's like when people misquote, money is the root of all evil. That's not what it says. It's the love of money. So
yes,
it's the same thing with knowledge. Well, Joylynn, it's always a pleasure. And it's always so much. By the time you're done talking, I'm always like, I need some more notes areas. I need to be able to write so I can retain some of what she's saying and use it.
And I know we're late and you're going into your next one, but contest, please submit to contest. No contest is too big. No contest is too small. We're submitting to the BNN Children's, Crooks Corner Book Prize, the Boston Globe, the National Book Award, the Hurston Wright, Black Authors Matter Children's Book Awards, the ALA Coretta Scott King Book Awards, the ALA Michael Prince Awards, the National Indie Excellence Awards, the IPPY Awards, the IBPA Benjamin Franklin Awards. Do a sweep. You never know whose hands your book is going to get into. Even if you don't win, you win.
That's true.
Somebody is going to see your book, and that somebody could be influential.
Yes.
Yeah. Which one did I win? I won one of those indie excellence one. I think that's the one. I was a finalist, but a finalist is almost as good as being a winner a lot of times, because you got bragging rights still.
There you go, bragging rights.
So Joylynn, thanks so much, and all the best. And I know it'll be successful because everything you put your hands to is a success.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Happy holidays and a happy new year. I know 2024.
Yes.
We're all going to be doing big things.
Yes, and same to you. And if anybody reaches out and be like, but I wanted to hear what else she said, give them my email address. I don't mind.
Okay. I need you to re-invite me to your group, because I have a new Facebook page. We're friends again, but I need you to re-invite me to your group.
Okay. Because I don't keep nothing under the wraps. We all got to win. We all got to win. So I will share my blueprint. Yes, I will.
And that's what we do. We share. Okay. Have a great night.
All right, Joylynn, it was good to see you again.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so we are going to be giving away one book before our next guest comes on. But we're just going to do the trivia question first, and then we'll see who wins it after this interview. But we're giving away Laws of Depravity. I said this last week by Eric LaSalle. He was on the show a few weeks ago. This is the first book in his series that has 3 books in it right now, and there are going to be a total of 5 books in the series. So the trivia question for this book is, there is a serial killer who is roaming around New York City in this book, and the author gives the serial killer a moniker or name. What is the name of the serial killer? And if you get it, the first person to answer gets their copy mailed to them. So our next guest is, there's all kinds of things happening in the literary industry. And so our next guest is starting a literary magazine, and it's called KIZA, not Kazi, KIZA, Black Lit, and it debuts in January. So we wanted to have her on the show to talk about the magazine and what was her inspiration and how people can get it and what her objective and mission is. So let me see if I can pronounce her name. Njemile, is that it? Uh-oh, we need you to unmute so then you can tell me what it should be.
It's Njemile.
Oh, Njemile. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's the accent is on the first syllable.
On the second,
On the second syllable, Njemile. Okay. All right. Well, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Hi, Gwen. Hi, Rhonda. Good to meet you.
Hello. It's good to meet you as well. Thank you for being here tonight.
And thank you for being here tonight. Existing in the world.
Well, tell us about, first, why a literary magazine at this time? Because there have been over the years, I don't know if you, for me, there have been a lot of magazines that are Black literary magazines that have come and gone. There was one big one in the 2000s called, did it have Matters at the, I can't remember, but it was around for several years, and it's challenging to keep them going just from a business standpoint. So why a magazine and why now?
Why now is a really great question for me, because this has been brewing in my soul and spirit for a very, very long time. When I went off to college, it was my intention to go and start a Black literary magazine, and that was a long time ago. And I went off into other careers, other activities, marriage, children, the whole nine. And it just happened, really. After all this time, because the seed was there and some watering happened, it began to grow. And the watering that happened was my starting a nonprofit called Next Level Publications Group. That grew out of my freelance work of doing writing and editing for all kinds of folks. And so when I changed it over to becoming a nonprofit, the point was to celebrate Black literary arts and artists, because we need celebration. We need support. Black literary artists need support. They need to be heard. They need to be known. They are the part of the glue that holds our communities together. Because one of the things that they represent the fireside, where there's so much nurturing that takes place, that traditionally has taken place within Black culture all over the world. In Africa, Asia, North America, South America, we gather around the fire and tell the stories of who we are. And that's what our literary artists do for us. And so we need to celebrate that. I wanted to celebrate that. I wanted to celebrate it back in the day, going off to college, because I love to read. And I just wanted to be in a place where I could present good writing. Present writing. So that's why now. It's why now, because there was enough sunshine and enough water in my soul and spirit to make it happen. And a Black literary magazine, because we are so literary in what we do. And so KIZA, that's how you pronounce that, KIZA. KIZA is actually the Kiswahili word for story. It comes from the Kiswahili word for story. The actual word is KISA, K-I-S-A. But we wanted to give it a little bit more edge. So we changed the S to a Z and made it KIZA. KIZA is all about the story, and we're going to be presenting all types of literature, fiction, nonfiction, poetry, storytelling, lyrics, scripts for stage and screen. So we want that whole gamut of the storytelling that's a part of our experience, that describes our experience and makes meaning of our experience to be shown and known.
Well, you said a mouthful, but now with all of that said, my question is, it sounds like you're going to be very judicious about the work that you accept for the magazine, because I went to your website and there was a space where people can submit their work. Do you kind of have a panel to decide what will actually go in? Is everything that gets submitted going in, or do you kind of go through it, analyze it, make sure it reaches a certain standard?
We will select. Initially, the first round of selection is based on the subject matter, because there is a certain ambiance that we want to have, a certain idea that we want to present. Like I heard you mention on another interview, Rhonda, that I was looking over some of your past interviews, and you talked about how something was just kind of normal, kind of what you would expect, some stereotypical presentations of Black folks, and stereotypical representations in each category. For example, romance. Now, you can talk about some of the difficulties that we have that we experience, that people experience in romance, and that people experience in romance. But there are some nuances about love that are not often presented in media about Black people. And some of those nuances have to do with who we love and how deeply we love. And I want that kind of thing to show. I want to show us talking about how we do get over. We're in the struggle, but not struggling. You know what I mean?
Right.
Living and loving each other, loving our sisters, loving our brothers, loving our uncles, aunts, loving the person who's walking down the street who needs some attention in that moment, and giving that attention. Like, for example, I have a sister friend who has been for months embracing a mom who lost her child, whose child had already lost his other parent. And so that kind of love, that kind of experience, that kind of, the routine, the tradition of taking on what we now call adopted children, that we back in the day called another sister or brother. I found out doing some family history that one of my aunts, my great aunt, was not a full sister of my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
And we had no idea. And she was just a wonderful, loving person. And so some of these types of stories, I want to get told. Black, how we deal with power, how we deal with examining ourselves, how we deal with being in an environment that is not necessarily for us, but we make our way, we make it happen anyway.
Yes.
We've done that. And so those are the kinds of that kind of depth of who we are. We want to see that kind of thing presented. And we do have a panel. It's a small panel right now because we are just coming out of the gate. And so it kind of fits the amount of submissions that we have. And so bring those submissions on, folks. You can see up here, submit. Also subscribe to the magazine. It's going to be free right now. The digital edition, the online edition is free. Starting in April, you'll be able to order the print edition, and that will have a subscription price. And we'll let you know later on what that is. And so,
and you also have advertisement available in the magazine.
Absolutely, yes, advertising is available.
Now, how often are you publishing? Is it
quarterly?
monthly? Quarterly, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good. That's good to get started with, because my husband and I had a magazine years ago, and we started off, we were monthly, and those months roll around really fast.
They do. Oh my
As
goodness.
soon as you're done putting the one to bed,
oh my
it
goodness.
seems like the other one, I mean, they roll around very, very fast. And so quarterly is good, that because you can always be more, increase the frequency. Increasing the frequency is better than having to decrease the frequency.
Absolutely.
Decrease it, it's like, okay, there's something going on, in a negative way. But if you increase it, then that's momentum.
Right. And you mentioned that there have been Black literary magazines that come and go, and there are a few, like Callaloo has been around for a good amount of time. Fire is fairly new. Magazine of Black speculative fiction. They're great. Based on, they pattern themselves after one that was done back in the Harlem Renaissance that was called Fire. It had only one issue, and they're coming behind that. So they're not a few, it's a handful. And so a dream that I had over 40 years ago, I won't tell you how many years over 40 years ago that was, but a dream that I had over 40 years ago is still relevant. You have writers coming on here back to back, every week. So they're having that space for them to speak is just a natural thing. And we have a few Black literary magazines, and there are hundreds of non-Black, not necessarily Black, literary magazines. So, why would we not be represented? Why would we not be in print with all the writers that we have around, all the artists that can beautify the pages? Why would we not be there?
Right.
I wish I could remember the name of that magazine. That is going to bother me until I get off the show. It was in like the early 2000s, and it was around for several years.
Well, there was Shades of Romance. I'm not sure if that's one you're talking about.
No, it's not. It wasn't a romance. They did all overall. They did the book industry overall. And I want to say that It Matters was in the title. I'm trying to Google it and see if I can find anything. But anyway.
Oh, I know what magazine you're talking about. I can't think of the name. It is Something Matters.
It was Something Matters.
Shonda Block, I believe, was the one who did that one, right?
Who?
Wasn't it Shonda Block?
I thought it was a man that did it.
Okay.
Okay, don't make me get on my my research.
I know we're all about to start Googling.
Right.
It's gonna bother me until I figure it out. But anyway, and
Booking Matters? No.
As soon as I get off, as soon as we end the show,
it's gonna bother all three of us now. We're all gonna wake up at the same time in the middle of the night and message each other.
Well,
that was the name of it. That was it.
We finished. I'm gonna go look it up.
But are you all paying writers to submit?
No, and we're also not charging them to submit, which is a thing that happens. And there is space to charge them because there's a lot of editing involved. So there's work.
Yes.
There is work in it. So no, at this point, we're not yet paying them. We would like to get to that point. We intend to get to that point, but we're not there yet.
All right, so this is a good time to be a part of the magazine because they're advertising. You're charging a reduced rate for the advertising until April 2024. And people can submit their stories to the magazine free right
Absolutely.
now.
Right.
So this is a good time to get in and reach a new audience. And right now, you said your initial distribution is going to be about 5,000 people.
Yes.
That's
Initially.
actually great for a first magazine.
That is.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
It is a great time. The advertising is only $100 for a full page ad until April. But we never intend to get to the point where we will charge our literary artists who submit their work. We want to get to the point where we pay them, but not to the point where we charge them, unless they decide to take on some of our for pay services, because as an organization, Next Level Publications Group still offers professional writing services. We do writing and editing for nonprofits, authors, who else? Website text, all kinds of things, strategic plans, business plans, grant writing, all that, ghost writing. So all those services are still provided. And that's
by your organization, by your nonprofit.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
awesome.
That's part of the funding that's part of our financial base.
Okay.
Okay. Because we wanted to do, not be a nonprofit that is dependent 100% on grants and donations and so forth. We wanted to have a more of an enterprise-based income foundation for what we do. And so we have some other projects that are underway that we'll announce when they're a little bit more mature.
Well, being dependent on donations and only, it can be challenging because you're constantly in a fundraising mode.
Absolutely. Everything is challenging. It all requires work. You have to work to produce products. You have to work to get contributions from individuals and foundations and whatever. It's all work. It's the kind of work that you choose to do. And one of the things that is part of our intent and the message is that within our communities, within ourselves as individuals and our communities, we have what we need in order to thrive. We can produce for ourselves. And so we want to give that message and live that message. Do for self, build up, build within, and trade with each other, support each other, give to each other. And it doesn't have to be in a formal sense, but in a way of life sense, that we're sharing our talents, our skills, our productivity, and we're building productivity, and we're becoming self-governing individuals in a self-governing community. That's what we want to have.
So now, what are your guidelines for somebody who would want to submit to your magazine?
Now, that is a very, very good question. What are the submission guidelines? To find out what those submission guidelines are, you can go to nopginc.com/guidelines, and it lists everything. Basically, there are only a few things that we don't do. We don't do erotica. And all of our submitters have to identify as Black. We like the subject matters that I talked about, self-regeneration, self-exploration, power, development, all that. And your work does not have to be unpublished. A lot of literary magazines require that the work not have been published before.
Okay.
I believe that within our community, within the Black community, authors continually need to be supported and provided a platform in order to produce their work. and to sell their work and to earn a living from their work. And so so we're not saying that if something has been published previously, we won't publish it. So basically it's fairly, there's a limit on the number of words.
I was going to ask about the word count.
Yeah,
7,500 words.
no more than.
That's a lot of words.
That's a lot of words.
I thought you say 750. So it's not like the length of a
No.
commentary. It's
Yeah.
actually a literary work. It's like
It's
a short
actually literary
story.
work. Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm. So you can sit down with the magazine like you would sit down with a book.
Okay.
Curl up and read and really enjoy, a whole lot of a variety of different stories.
Yeah. So if you're doing that, if that's your limit, the upper limit, that does require editing. The more words you have, the more words you have to edit. That's just
Right.
the nature of it.
And I'm sorry if I missed it, but did you say when the first issue?
January 5th.
January 5th. Okay, so that's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Right around the corner. Right
The
around the
release
corner.
is imminent. So that's why we wanted to have her on so she could tell people about it so they could be on the lookout for it. Now, do you have social media where you're sharing some of the information, maybe not excerpts because it's not doesn't really lend itself to that, but just for announcement purposes and to prompt people about
We do.
the magazine and so forth?
Right now, basically, we are only on Facebook. We have to build up our whole Facebook presence. And that's because basically I'm like that. I'm not very much of a Facebook person. And so, my energy is kind of has to grow and embrace that area. And that's what I'm doing, putting myself in a position of expanding and therefore putting the magazine and our team in the position of expanding to embrace social media and handle that and make sure everybody will, that our word gets out there through those media.
Right.
I'm looking forward. I will be a supporter.
Yeah, I'm looking
go
forward
to
to
that
seeing
same
it
website.
myself.
I can go to that same website to subscribe to the magazine, correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Go there to subscribe and go there to submit your work. And all you're doing when you submit, well, one of the things that you're doing is letting us know that the work belongs to you. Okay. If there's more than one author, we have a special form a permission form that gets in addition to the submission form, so that the other author or authors can also give their permission. And we never take ownership of somebody's work, which is another difference between us and other literary magazines and the big presses, the big five, and other publishers. They take possession of someone's work. What we have is permission to print it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in projects like this, so much is dependent on the person's passion to launch it and execute and see it through and keep it going. And it sounds like your passion it runs deep because you've been holding on for decades. And so, that's a person who doesn't give up, which is good.
And interestingly, it's not something that I was pacing the room saying, when am I going to get this magazine out? Oh, I want to do. Oh, I got to do this. It was there. It lived on its own. It had a life of its own, and it gave birth when it was ready.
There you go.
That's a great way to end the interview. And we are very excited about your launch and behind you 100%. And KIZA is set to launch January the 5th, did you say?
Yes, ma'am. January 5th.
Of 2024. And so everybody be on the lookout for the publication. And when you launch, when it's live, please send us the link to and some art, maybe the cover. So, and we'll post it on our Facebook platform.
Absolutely. Thank you. I so appreciate the fact that you're here also doing the same thing, providing this platform for authors and other people within the publishing industry to bring together Black arts and entertainment. There's so much happening in the industry.
And we're so glad to continue to support authors, both up and coming and established, and then people who support those authors, people like yourself who are continuing to give these authors a platform. I think that's what it's all about. And so I'm happy to support you. We're glad you're supporting the show, and we should just keep it going.
Absolutely. Keep it going exponentially. Woo!
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV, and much success with your launch. And don't forget to let us know when it's live so we can post it.
Will do. Y'all have a great day.
You too.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Okay, well, before we go to our final interview, we did have the book that we're giving away this week, Laws of Depravity by Eric LaSalle. And guess who won the book this week?
You know who won the book.
I saw it already. So Curtis Stevenson he's not a new supporter of the show now, because he's been supporting it for several months. But he wins the books almost every week.
He does. He has a whole library full of books.
Yeah, he does. So, but he answers the questions. So congratulations, Curtis, for once again winning the book. It'll be on its way to you. So I said earlier when Joylynn was on that when she was talking about the release of the book that they have under PTP Press, that the author, Nikki Anthony, who is the author under their umbrella, was going to be on the show tonight, because I wanted to have them both on the same night to discuss this new venture. And so Nikki Anthony is in the house at Black Authors Matter TV. And welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
And Joylynn was singing your praises. She was really
you were a busy lady. That's what she told us.
That you were promoting. You were doing a lot of self-promotion of your new book. And you had a marketing plan.
I would tell you that is brave, and the reason why I say it's brave is because we are in a society now where people are trying to look down on self-promotion. If you're telling people about your book, you're telling people how great it is, you're trying to get your name out there. There are people who can say all she does is try to promote herself and keep talking about that book. Right. But yet, if you're quiet and you don't say anything, why didn't tell me you had a book?
Exactly. Exactly.
And your sales will reflect that.
Yes. It does. It reflects your effort. It truly does. It reflects your effort for sure. But at the end of the day, like, nobody's gonna promote you like you. So, you gotta do it until you get tired and say you turn blue in the face. At the end of the day, like, you gotta go hard for you, so that's something that I have learned. You have to take your career, your life, your everything into your own hands. You cannot expect someone else to drive it by the horns and do it. You gotta do it yourself, so no shame there. It's no shame there.
So your book is called The Price We Pay. Do you have a copy of your book with you?
I do.
Can you show us the cover?
Yes.
It's a very nice cover. And that's a hardcover.
Yes, this is the hardcover. This is a hardcover edition of the
Now, what made you decide to go with a hardcover? Because a lot of people are doing paperback, they're doing ebooks. What made you decide that you want to make that investment into going hardcover as well?
We wanted to do something different. We really did. And then the hardcover was just so, like, when we got it in our hands, when we saw it, when we opened the box, we were like, this is a beauty. Like, this is timeless.
Yes.
Because we knew the content that was on the inside. We knew the quality of the work. We knew the body of work was priceless. And we were like, you know what? We want to put it out there in the best form possible. We want to introduce it to the world the best way possible. You know, there's nothing wrong with paperback. There's nothing wrong with like an ebook edition, but we were like, you know what, we all in. We want to make sure we give it our all. And
Yes.
when we opened that box and we looked at these books, we was like, this thing is amazing. So we knew we had made the right choice when we went with like the hardcover version.
Okay, so is it in paperback too? Or just hardcover?
It will be in paperback. Right now it's in a hardcover, and then Christmas Day it will actually be releasing in the ebook edition. So
wonderful.
Okay.
On Christmas.
Yes, on
That's
Christmas Day.
interesting. Okay.
Yes. It's on pre-order right now. So it can be pre-ordered right now. And then also, because I am a Pathfinder, I don't know if Joylynn mentioned that to you guys.
Oh no, she didn't say a word. She didn't say a word. I'm gonna have to talk to her about that.
I am a Pathfinder, so one of the things that Joylynn taught us during her conference was that we needed to always make sure we have like companion pieces. And a companion piece to the novel is a cookbook, and it's titled The Southern Palette of Buzzardville. So any reader who orders the hardcover edition or the pre-orders the ebook edition, which is to be delivered on Christmas Day, will receive a free copy of The Southern Palette of Buzzardville. You know, all you have to do is just shoot me an email with proof of purchase to my email at letstalk@nikkityanthony.com, and we'll shoot them a free copy of the companion cookbook. And it's pretty much the recipes that the characters enjoyed throughout the novel. And we also wanted to just create something for readers to be able to enjoy over the Christmas holiday, the Thanksgiving holiday, the New Year holiday. We wanted to just give something special as a thank you. So if you get out there and you order it, you'll get your free copy.
Okay, I love it. Well, tell us what the book's about.
Yeah, sure. So the price we pay, it is told from the perspective of a 15-year-old Black teenager who experiences a rash of deliberate attacks against both herself, the people that she loves the most, which in turn, it causes her to have a loss of faith in humanity. That is honestly written from the perspective of like real life events. I always tell people, like, in a sense, I am Zanetta. Because as a teenager, I'm super transparent. I had my own bouts of having a loss of faith in humanity, a loss of faith in humanity because a loss of a lack of opportunities, lack of resources, racial inequalities, living in poverty. You know, so those are all things that the book really touches bases on. So although it's told from the perspective of like a fictional standpoint, it's a lot of our realities as minority. I know for myself, it was my reality growing up, and I just wanted to take something. It was honestly writing, and it was my therapy. It was a therapy that I didn't even know that I needed, you know, because I grew up in Chicago in a housing project. So we had like an extreme amount of poverty, and at that time it seemed like it was normal, but it wasn't. You know, it wasn't something that was normal, and I knew it wasn't something that was normal because I would go to the public library across the street from my home every single day, and I would read from 9 to 5 just so I could escape my reality. I was in love with like Terry McMillan. I was in love with Eric Jerome Dickey, and I would read those books. I could smell the air. I could hear the birds chirping, like just any reality that would separate me from what I was living through. So the book is very similar to my own reality.
Wow. So the characters in your book, did you base them on people who were around you, so to speak?
So to speak, yes. I based them off of experiences, life experiences, like especially the life experiences of my own, the wisdom of my grandmother, the wisdom of my grandfather, the character of my grandfather, just the minority household, and because a lot of people don't come from the places that we come from, right? So I think that it's very hard to judge someone when you don't know or you don't understand where they come from, their background.
Right.
But if you understand people a little bit more, you'll be less likely to judge them. You'll be less likely to pass, your thoughts about them on to other people. Like, so a lot of the characters are honestly things that people I've come across, like experiences that I've lived through firsthand. I'm a firm believer that, I don't talk about what I don't know about. I don't write about what I don't know about. I'm not gonna write sci-fi because I don't know nothing about sci-fi. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I do. Mm-hmm,
I can only write about what I know about. So, and that's what a lot of people, like we can only, a lot of you can only write what you know, if you want it to be like a good body of work. So it's from experience.
Yeah, you can do research, but it still has to be close to your wheelhouse. Like,
it does.
Like you said, sci-fi, like I don't even understand it really. My husband is a Trekkie. He loves Star Trek, all of it. Like he'll just watch them. He's seen them multiple times. But I don't. That's just not. I like things in the now. I like history, but I don't like the alternate reality stuff. Is hard for me to get into. But I really admire people who can create other worlds.
Yes,
and the whole thing, a whole nother world, people, traits, characteristics in the characters. There's all kinds of stuff. That really takes a vivid imagination.
It does.
It does.
And it's a growing genre. All of that, the sci-fi and the fantasy, that's a growing. Those two genres are growing.
Now, did I hear Joylynn correctly when she said you'd been working on your book for a number of years before you decided to finally have it published?
Yes, about 5 years.
That's what I thought I heard her say.
About 5 years.
So what made you finally decide, okay, now is the time?
Just watching what young people were going through. Every day we would turn on the news, if it wasn't Trayvon Martin, it was Tamir Rice. It wasn't Tamir Rice, definitely George Floyd. When the George Floyd tragedy took place, I was like, you know what? And we felt that around the world, like the entire world felt that. It was a moment in time where we knew those things were happening to us. We knew those things were taking place to minorities, but time paused. And I was like, you know what? It's time to just release it. Like it's kind of one of those things where it was honestly eerie. It was super eerie, and it was almost as if those things had come to light. Because like one of the things we tell people, like, it's honestly the To Kill a Mockingbird of the 21st century, but from a Black perspective. So for so many years, I was afraid to honestly release it because I was afraid of like the backlash. I was afraid of like what people would think, what people would say, and I know we are like in a different time, than Harper Lee was, but I was super afraid to release it. But like, I think that at the brink of like everything that was happening with, especially like our Black teenagers, everything that like when it happened to George Floyd, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is it. I felt like that was my pivotal moment to like, you know what? Now is the time. The book is about having a voice, speaking up, not being silent, and I was like, this is the time. We cannot continue to be silent. We got to learn how to have like hard conversations about what's happening out here. We got to learn how to sit down and talk to each other about what's happening, getting a perspective from other people, other viewpoints. A lot of things can honestly be solved with like simple conversation for those who are rational and are receiving of it. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, this is time. I didn't want it to just be a novel. I wanted it to be a movement, and I wanted it to be something that would spread positive change, but in the form of storytelling.
Okay, now in the time that we have left, although I know Rhonda feel free to chime in with questions that may not be along these lines.
Okay.
But I do, Joylynn, she talks so much about your marketing. And for authors who are self-published or traditionally published, that sometimes people who are traditionally published kind of sit back and expect the publisher to do everything. And they don't have the results that they would like because the publisher is expecting them to do. It's like they're both of them expecting the other one to do it, and it's not getting done. So you had some very innovative strategies with your marketing. And so just share. Well, I want to know, how did you do the thing in Times Square? How did you make that happen?
You know what? Honestly, Times Square was one of those things where it was a friend of a friend, just being good people to people. You know, like I try to be a good person to people. Everybody I meet, I try to touch them and be positive in one way or another. I try to make sure that, you know, I'm giving what I would want to receive from other people. So just people that I meet in passing who really super believe in my project, or people that I network with who super believe in my project or believe in what it is that I'm doing. It was honestly a friend who had a connection of another friend and was like, Merry Christmas. It was a Christmas gift, you know, so it was a Christmas gift. It was a Christmas gift. So I was like, you know, I think that speaks to the testament of my character. It speaks to the testament of the type of person I am. I'm a firm believer that the same people you meet going up will be the same people you meet if you got to fall back down. So, you know, I just networking with people, and you just meet good people, and just putting the project in people's face, you know, to the point to where people are like, you know what? I see how hard you go. I see how important this is to you. Let me do something for you that's just as equally important. So many people were asking me, like, what do you want for the holidays? What would you want for Christmas? And I'm like, I don't want you to do nothing for me, but you can do something for this book. You can buy them in bulk. You can get a billboard. You can do whatever you want to do, but don't go into no store giving these stores your money for little old me. Support me by supporting her. And the friend listened, and that was the result of it. So
that's a good friend.
Yes. Well, a lot of times things happen because some of it has been at the right place at the right time. A lot of it is treating people like you want to be treated, operating with integrity. I tell people that if you operate with integrity, you can't go wrong. Even if people do you wrong, you can't go wrong because you know you've done what's right. I'm gonna just tell a quick story about something that happened to us years ago. We were featured in Ebony magazine, and it was when we first launched Kush City, and a friend of mine in Chicago. Do you know Yvette Moyo? Have you ever heard of her? She used to have a event about Black techies. So she was in Chicago. Ebony magazine asked her, does she know, they were doing an article about Black people in tech. And I have I got one of those frame things on my wall with the article me and my husband were in. And they asked her, they were looking for a female. They didn't have any females in the article. And since my husband and I worked together, that worked out as a female, they were on deadline and they needed it in like 2 days. And we got the picture in and we ran Ebony magazine. So that you just never know.
You never know.
You never know. You never know.
And you know, that was when
it was at the right time.
Yeah, it's right place, right time, responding to people when they contact you. And so, you know, things like that happen when you operate with integrity. Your integrity is more important than just about anything.
I think every author on here, and I'm gonna do it too. Every author on here should just get on, make a Facebook post and say, for Christmas, all I'm asking is that you buy one of my books.
That's it.
I don't care if you buy it directly from my website. I don't care if you buy it from Amazon. Support one of my books. That's all I ask for. That's the cheapest present.
Especially because they can even download the ebook, and that's
that's even cheaper.
That's even cheaper.
It's priceless.
But
It's honestly priceless.
that's amazing. I was thinking, I wasn't expecting you to say that about the Times Square thing. That it was favor, but you know, but those kinds of things do happen, but you have to be working. People invest in people who are working and doing.
Yeah, they want to see you hustling. They don't want to see you sitting at home waiting on everybody to do something for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
But now let me ask you this, because I've been hearing a lot of entrepreneurs say this. I have a friend who gets lots of grants. I'm like, girl, who did you get to who did you hire to do all your grants? She said, girl, I just apply for a different grant every week. And so and I've heard her say that. And then Joylynn was on earlier and was talking about the Chicken Soup for the Soul people who did 5 things for their book for 2 years straight.
Yes.
And then I'm looking at everything that you did to promote your book. And I'm guessing that you were on some type of a schedule as well, whether you were doing 1 thing a day, 2 things a day, 5 things a day, what have you. So you were able to get a lot of success, but let's talk about the work, because everybody hears, oh, she got an interview here, she got an interview there. I really want you to talk about the work that you put into making that happen. This wasn't something that just happened overnight.
No, absolutely not. It definitely wasn't something that happened overnight. It was a lot of long hours, sleepless nights. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of determination. But if you see an end goal, you can keep going, you know. So for me, I'm super calculated. You know, I've always been super calculated. I'm the kind of person, like, when I know what I want, I'm going for it. I'm getting it. You know, people be like, oh, the sky's the limit. Nah, I'm going past that. Like, that's just how I am. You know, like, I'm not gonna lie, I work everybody to the bone, and I appreciate my team because they're absolutely amazing. I did not do it by myself. I will not lie to you. You know, and a lot of people think that it takes a whole lot of money. It takes a lot of if you got the right people. I would rather have 3 people that is going to, you know, we're gonna get together, we're gonna get this thing out the mud, we're gonna do what we gotta do together, than 330 people or 300 people that's gonna be around me and do nothing. You know, so it don't take like a whole lot of like an entourage of people to get stuff done. You got you a solid good 3 or 4 people, 2, 3, 4 people. You good.
That's the big part about it. You're right. You don't need a huge team. You need a dedicated team.
Right.
You need a dedicated team. You need a dedicated team. It's not about the quantity. It's about the quality of people that you have working with you. So the quality of people that I had working with me, they understood, you know, and it was one of those things where I was like, you know what, when we were building this thing out, I said, listen, I don't need, like, if you don't believe in the project, that's fine. Like, I required everybody who came on those rough drafts, those beginning stages, to read the book, to kind of, you know, it might not be where it needs to be right now, but you get an idea where we're going. If you don't believe in it, that is totally fine. And Joylynn actually did something similar. If you don't believe in it, it's totally fine. But I need you to believe in this book like you believe in your soul. So when I'm not in this room, when I ain't around, and you in the room, I need you to be confident, and I need you to be me. I need to be confident that you gonna do what you got to do, and speak on this book like it's yours, front to back, and you're gonna represent it like you would represent yourself. So that was my biggest thing, you know. And when I got people, when I got those team of people, and I wasn't mad at the people who didn't, you know, didn't understand it or didn't see the vision, but I focused more on the people who were like, this is gold. I'm with you when you're right, you know, and I focus on the quality of those people. And then me and my group of people, we just did what we had to do. You know, we stayed focused. Back last year, you know, I was like, dang, summertime coming. I got to miss out on all the hot parties, all the trips, you know, all the fun, all the barbecues. But I was like, you know what? I had already decided I'm going to give myself a year of all work, no play, no fun. And that's how I did it. And even going into 2024, I've decided, like, even though the book is out, the book is here, we've made that same commitment, like, okay, it's here, it's out. 2024 is 2.0, no play, no fun.
Right.
But you got to be dedicated. You got to be dedicated. It takes an extreme amount of consistency, and it takes an extreme amount of, you got to be determined, you know. But you can't, it's not going to happen if you don't believe in yourself. It's not going to happen if you don't believe in what you're doing. You know, so for me, I believed in my product. You know, I believe in what I put out. I believe in the content. And I felt like it was worth the while. It was worth the journey that we were about to go on.
Yeah, well, a lot of times, well, this is the saying I've heard, and I repeat it too, that if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Everybody would be doing it. That's true.
You know, it's not easy, and that's where the determination and consistency and all that come in.
Yeah,
because you have to, and you have to have a plan.
You do.
You have to have a plan that you execute, and then you have to check the plan as you go. And sometimes you have to adjust the plan.
Yeah.
You have to, you know, listen to advice that's constructive advice.
Yes, you got to be open to feedback.
Yes.
You know, you got to, and one thing for me, like I've always said, like I'm very open to feedback. You know, you know, and then it's not what you say, it's how you say what you say. So if an individual is good about how they convey something, you know, I'm like, okay, cool. You know, like some people, they don't know how to take feedback. Some people don't know how to have discipline. Like, but for me, like I have an extreme amount of discipline. You know, for me, I take feedback. You know, I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I always tell people, like, I like to be in the middle, in between. I like to be, you know, that person that knows something in the room and under the people that know more than me. So I like to be in the sandwich, you know, right in the middle. You know, but I also take feedback from people, and that's super important. You know, if you want to go far, you gotta learn from other people, you know, because you don't know everything. But if you keep yourself in that box of, you know, well, I know everything, and I want to hold these things to myself, and I don't want nobody else to teach me anything. I know this, then you probably won't, you'll probably go fast a little way, but you won't go far.
There you go. There you go. Now, tell me this. I know we have about 3 minutes left in the show. Are you in this literary game to stay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yes, ma'am. I am. Yes, I am.
That's all I needed to hear.
Yes.
You put in way too much work to say you're one and done.
Oh, yeah. I put in too much work to be like, yeah, I'm out. I'm heading on out. No. I'm here to stay. I'm laying the groundwork. You know, I feel like this is the foundational work. It's necessary. You know, these days it takes an extreme amount of work to, you know, get people to trust you, you know, like, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. It's about people trusting you. People are trusting you with their dollar, with their money, with their coin. Coin purses getting tight out here, you know. You know what I mean? So you got to prove yourself to people. So you got to do the work.
Well, you keep doing the work. Congratulations on the book. Congratulations on your marketing success. And I look forward to not only reading this book, but to reading your future books. So I'm going to hold you to your word that you're in this literary game to stay.
I am here to stay. I'll be back. I'm here to stay. You got me. You stuck with me now. So I'm
okay.
We friends. All right.
We friends. I see you. We see each other. We here.
Okay, well, Nikki, congratulations again.
Thank you.
And for releasing your book, and also for having a mentor like Joylynn. That's a big deal.
She's amazing. She's amazing. She is amazing.
Amazing energy. She's always upbeat. I've never seen Joylynn not, you know, smiling and energetic ever. And I've known her for 20 years. So
She's amazing. She's amazing. I told my husband years ago when I first went to her first conference, I was like, I got to get to this lady conference. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know if I'm going to hitchhike. I don't know if I'm going to go in somebody's luggage, but I got to get there. I'm going to get to Vegas. And she was so accommodating. She was super accommodating. She was like, you know what, just get here. And I was like, okay, God, this is a sign. And at that time, I did not know that that years later, I knew that I talked to her about editing the book at the conference. And I was like, I got this project I want you to work on. You know, I don't care how much you charge, and I'm come up with the money. But I had no idea that years later, she would be the individual that I would partner with, because this is truly a partnership with her. You know, I had no idea that she would be the person that I partner with. But would I do it with somebody else? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She's amazing.
Yeah. Well, Nikki, The Price We Pay, go get your copy, everybody, by Nikki Anthony.
Yes.
And there we go. And congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're
And
welcome.
thank you for being here. Best wishes
Thank
to
you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay, everybody. Well, that's the show for this week. We'll be back next week with another episode of Black Authors Matter TV. And I'm Gwen Richardson signing off.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Have a wonderful night and a great week.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.